It was 2:47 a.m. on a freezing Kansas City night. Taylor Swift stood in the doorway of Travis Kelce's bedroom, suitcase packed, mascara streaked down her face. The air between them was thick with exhaustion and heartbreak. Travis had just said the words that shattered everything. "Then go. You always leave anyway." For a long moment, neither of them moved. The only sound was the wind howling against the windows, like it was mourning something too. Taylor's breath came in sharp, uneven gasps as she stared at the man she loved. The man who suddenly felt like a stranger. They'd been fighting for hours. Not about anything big. Not at first. A missed text, a forgotten promise. But like all their fights, it had spiraled fast. Tearing open old wounds neither of them had ever really healed. "You don't get it." "Travis," Taylor said, her voice breaking as she tossed another handful of clothes into her suitcase. "You never get it. It's always about your schedule, your games, your career. What about mine? What about us?" Travis leaned against the doorframe, jaw tight, eyes red from fatigue and anger. "That's not fair. You know I've done everything I can. I've been to every show I could make. I've rearranged my entire life for you." Taylor turned, eyes blazing through her tears. "Rearranged? You showed up, Travis. That's not the same thing as being present. You're there, smiling for cameras, but your mind's somewhere else. Your phone, your podcast, your next play." The words hit him like a punch. "So now I'm not allowed to have my own life." "That's not what I'm saying," she screamed, voice cracking under the weight of months of bottled pain. "I'm saying I feel like I'm always second place, behind your team, your family, your friends. And I'm just Taylor Swift, the girlfriend who looks good on your Instagram." Travis's anger rose, that dangerous, quiet kind. Maybe this is just too hard. Maybe trying to love someone who lives under a spotlight, who can't breathe without a headline, maybe that's too much for a normal guy like me. Taylor froze. Her tears stopped. "A normal guy like you?" she repeated softly. "So that's what this really is. You resent me for being who I am." "I didn't say that. You didn't have to." She grabbed her suitcase, her coat, her phone. "You think I'm too much, too famous, too complicated, too everything. You know what? I'm done. I'm done making myself smaller so you can feel bigger. Taylor, wait. No." Her voice was calm now, cold. "I'm done waiting, Travis. Congratulations. You just proved I'm unlovable." The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the walls. Travis stood frozen, surrounded by her perfume and silence. For the first time in his life, the man who'd faced roaring crowds and game-winning pressure felt completely alone. He stared at his phone, thinking about calling her, running after her. But his pride stopped him. She'd left before. She'd always left when things got hard. What he didn't know was that this time, he wasn't the only one breaking. Taylor's tears blurred the road as she drove through the sleeping city. The rain had started, thin, cold, and merciless, matching the storm inside her chest. Her hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly her knuckles went white, and Travis's words kept echoing in her head. "Maybe trying to date someone like you is too much for a normal guy like me." Too much. She'd heard that before. From exes, from strangers, from critics who decided she was too emotional, too ambitious, too visible. But she'd believed Travis was different. She'd believed he saw the real her. By the time she pulled into the hotel parking garage, she was shaking so hard she could barely park. She sat there for 10 minutes, sobbing into her hands, wishing she could take back every angry word. When she finally stumbled into the lobby, mascara smeared and eyes red, even the night clerk froze. The biggest pop star in the world looked like a girl who'd just lost everything. Up in her room, Taylor dropped her suitcase and collapsed face first onto the bed, still in her coat. Her phone buzzed, a text from her mom saying goodnight. But Taylor couldn't answer. She couldn't even turn on the lights. She just buried her face in the pillow and cried until exhaustion took her. Meanwhile, across the city, Travis sat in the dark living room staring at the floor. The silence was suffocating. Every part of him screamed to call her, to apologize, to fix it. But his pride, that stubborn, stupid pride, kept whispering that maybe it was better this way. He finally dragged himself to bed around 3:15 a.m., convincing himself that morning would bring clarity. It didn't. At 5:47 a.m., his phone rang. Half asleep, he groaned and reached for it, assuming it was his brother Jason. But when he glanced at the screen, the name made him sit bolt upright. Mom. His mother never called this early. A cold dread settled over him as he answered. Mom? But it wasn't her voice. Mr. Kelce? This is Dr. Sarah Martinez from St. Luke's Hospital. Your mother, Donna Kelce, was brought in about 45 minutes ago after a cardiac event. She's stable, but we need you to get here as soon as possible. The words hit him like a physical blow. What happened? She's asking for you, the doctor said gently. Please, come quickly. Travis was already moving before the call ended, grabbing jeans, a hoodie, his keys. His hands were trembling so badly he could barely tie his shoes. She's stable. She's asking for you. By the time he reached the car, tears were streaming down his face. The drive to St. Luke's should have taken 20 minutes. He made it in 12. The moment he saw his mother lying pale and fragile in that hospital bed, surrounded by machines and monitors, the world collapsed. Mom, he whispered, taking her hand. Her eyelids fluttered open. There's my boy, she murmured weakly. Don't talk. Please, just rest. Need to tell you something, she breathed. Call Taylor. Travis froze. Mom, we broke up a few hours ago. All the more reason, she whispered. Life's too short for pride. Trust me, I know. Before he could answer, her eyes closed again, and the rhythmic beep of the heart monitor filled the room. He sank into a chair, head in his hands, staring at his phone. Her contact stared back at him. Taylor. He wanted to call so badly. But how do you call the person you just broke? What he didn't know was that, at that exact moment, she was about to find out anyway. When Taylor woke just before dawn, her head was pounding and her pillow was still damp with tears. She reached for her phone, hesitating for a moment before turning it back on. The screen lit up with hundreds of notifications, missed calls, texts, and breaking news alerts. At first, she ignored them. Then she saw the words that made her heart stop. Prayers for Donna Kelce. Travis Kelce's mother rushed to St. Luke's Hospital. Her stomach dropped. She opened Twitter, then the news apps, scrolling frantically. It was all over the internet. Donna Kelce, beloved NFL mom, hospitalized after a sudden cardiac event in the early morning hours. Critical condition. No official update yet. Taylor's hands began to shake so violently she almost dropped her phone. No, she whispered. Donna wasn't just Travis's mom, she was family. The woman who'd taught Taylor how to make his favorite cookies, who'd hugged her after every game, who'd once said softly, "You're the daughter I never had." And now she was in the hospital, and Travis was facing it alone. Taylor didn't think. She just moved. Within minutes, she was dressed. Hoodie, baseball cap, sunglasses, no makeup. Her reflection in the mirror barely looked like her. But she didn't care. She grabbed her keys and ran. The city was gray and empty as she sped toward St. Luke's, her heart hammering. Every red light felt like a lifetime. Every thought was a plea. Please let her be okay. Please let me not be too late. By the time she reached the hospital, the sky was turning pale. She parked crooked, didn't even lock the car. The woman at the front desk looked startled as Taylor rushed in. "Ma'am, visiting hours don't start until—" "I'm here for Donna Kelce," Taylor blurted out breathless. "Please, I'm family." Something in the nurse's expression softened. Second floor, cardiac unit. Taylor barely waited for the elevator doors to close before she started crying again. She had no idea what she would say to Travis, if he would even want to see her, but she knew she had to. When the doors opened, she saw him instantly. Travis was sitting alone in the waiting room, elbows on his knees, head in his hands. His hoodie was inside out, his hair a mess, his face streaked with exhaustion and tears. For a second, she couldn't breathe. The strongest man she knew looked completely broken. "Travis," she whispered. His head shot up, eyes wide. For a heartbeat, he didn't move. Then disbelief flickered into something else. Relief. "Taylor, what are you—" She crossed the room in 3 steps and threw her arms around him. "I'm so sorry," she choked out. "I saw the news. I came as fast as I could." And in that instant, everything that had broken between them didn't matter. Travis buried his face in her shoulder, his entire body shaking. "She had a heart attack," he said hoarsely. "They don't know yet if... I can't lose her, Tay." "You won't," she whispered, holding him tighter. "You're not alone. I'm here." The 2 of them stood there. 2 people who had nearly destroyed each other hours earlier, clinging, together in a sterile hospital waiting room, while the rest of the world slept. And for the first time in a long time, they both stopped running. When Travis finally pulled away, his eyes were raw and red. He tried to apologize, but his voice cracked before he could even form the words. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "For what I said. For all of it. I didn't mean—" Taylor placed her hands on his face, stopping him. "We'll talk about us later," she said gently. "Right now, I'm here for you. And for Donna." For a long moment, they just stared at each other. 2 people who had said things they could never take back, but who still couldn't walk away when it mattered most. Then, hand in hand, they walked quietly down the hallway to Donna's room. When Taylor saw her lying there, pale and small beneath the hospital sheets, her throat tightened. This was the woman who had been everyone's mom. Strong, funny, fierce. Seeing her like this broke something open inside Taylor. She took the chair beside the bed, opposite Travis, and gently reached for Donna's hand. "I'm here, Mama Donna," she whispered, tears slipping down her cheeks. "We're both here." And then, for the next 6 hours, as the sun rose over Kansas City, the 2 of them sat side by side. They didn't talk about their fight. They didn't need to. They just sat there, waiting, praying, breathing. When Jason finally burst into the room, still wearing sweatpants and a hoodie from catching the first flight out of Philadelphia, relief flooded his face at the sight of his mother. "How is she?" he asked, breathless. "Stable," Travis said softly. "She woke up a little while ago." "Talk to us for a bit." Jason turned to Taylor in surprise. "You're here." "Of course I'm here." Jason's eyes filled with tears. He pulled her into a hug and whispered, "Thank you. Thank you for being here for him." Taylor smiled faintly. "Where else would I be?" Hours passed. Nurses came and went. Doctors updated charts. And in that small hospital room something began to shift. Not just in Donna's heartbeat, but in the quiet rhythm between Travis and Taylor. He kept glancing at her, as if afraid she'd vanish if he looked away too long. She asked every question he couldn't think to ask, about medications, recovery times, cardiac therapy. When his hands trembled too much to type notes on his phone, she took it gently from him and started typing for him. And somewhere between the medical jargon and the steady beep of Donna's monitor, Travis realized something profound. She hadn't just come back. She'd stayed. Travis couldn't stop staring at her. Every time she leaned forward to ask a question, every time she wrote down another note, every time she quietly reached over to steady his shaking hand, it hit him harder. She had every reason to walk away, but she didn't. She was still there. When the doctor left, he whispered, almost in disbelief, "You stayed." Taylor looked up from his phone. "Of course I did." He swallowed hard. "After everything I said, after the awful things I said to you, you're still here." She set the phone down and took both his hands. "Travis, I love you. And when you love someone, you don't run when things get hard. You show up, even when it's messy, even when you've both said things you regret, even when it feels impossible." Tears filled his eyes again. "I was so wrong about everything," he murmured. "You're not too much, Taylor. You've never been too much. I was just scared." Her voice softened. "Scared of what?" He let out a trembling breath. "Of not being enough for you. You're Taylor Swift. You've got the whole world in your hands. And I'm just a guy who catches footballs." Taylor's heart broke all over again, but this time with tenderness. "Travis Michael Kelce," she said, using the full name like his mom would when she needed him to really listen. "You are not just anything. You're the man who makes me laugh when I'm overwhelmed. The man who learned all the words to my songs even though you hate pop music. The man who drives 4 hours in a snowstorm to bring me soup when I'm sick. You're the man who holds my hand on planes because you know I hate flying. That's not just anything. That's everything." He pulled her into his arms, holding her like he was afraid she'd disappear again. "I'm sorry," he whispered into her hair, "for saying you were too much. For making you feel like you had to shrink yourself to fit in my life. You never did. I'm sorry too," Taylor said quietly, "for walking out. For assuming you'd leave first. For not trusting that we were strong enough to survive the hard stuff." They both laughed softly through their tears. "I don't want to lose you," Travis said. "I know we have things to fix, but I don't care how hard it gets. I just want you." "You're not going to lose me," Taylor promised. "But we have to make one rule. No more running. When things get hard, we talk. We fight for us, not against each other. Deal? Deal." He kissed her, softly, carefully, tasting tears and hospital coffee and forgiveness. And then, from the hospital bed, a weak but amused voice cut through the silence. "Are you two done being dramatic? Because I'd really like to see my future daughter-in-law's face without all that crying." They both froze, then turned to see Donna awake, smiling faintly despite the oxygen tube. "Mom!" Travis gasped, rushing to her side. "You're awake. Are you okay? Do you need the doctor?" "I'm fine, baby. Just tired." She looked over at Taylor. "You came." Taylor wiped at her eyes and nodded. "Of course I came." Donna squeezed her hand. "I told him to call you, you know. But my stubborn son didn't listen." Travis laughed through a tear. "You know me too well, Mom." Donna smiled knowingly. "You two had a fight, didn't you?" They exchanged guilty looks. "How did you know?" Travis asked. "Because I raised you," Donna said simply. "And I've seen that look before. The one that says you said something stupid and now you're trying to fix it." She turned to Taylor. "And I know this one well enough to know she doesn't give up on the people she loves. No matter how hard they make it," Taylor's voice broke. "I'm so glad you're okay." "Me too, sweetheart." Donna's expression softened. "Now listen to me, both of you. Life is too short to waste on pride or fear. You love each other, that's what matters. Everything else, you figure out together." "Yes, ma'am," Travis said, his voice thick. "And Taylor," Donna added, "stop thinking you're too much. You're exactly enough. And my son is lucky to have you." Travis nodded immediately. "So damn lucky." Donna smiled, exhausted but content. "Good. Now someone get me some water before I start charging rent for this love story." As Taylor fetched water and Travis adjusted his mother's pillows, something shifted in the air, something warm and steady. The fear wasn't gone, but neither was the hope. In that small hospital room, surrounded by machines and second chances, love had found its way back to life.